It's been a pleasure working with a few of my colleagues, both on the Republican and Democrat side of the aisle, on these bills. As was mentioned before, over the last few years, there's been concerns, issues raised by one side or the other related to different things on our elections. And all four of these bills are in some way trying to actually fix a problem or bring improvement to our election process in a bipartisan fashion. So the first is Assembly Bill 330, related to nomination signatures. This makes sure there was an issue in Milwaukee where somebody had turned in signatures above and beyond what is actually required. And so turning in supplemental signatures as well. And unfortunately, because of the way the local clerks were interpreting the law, she had to actually go to court in order to actually make the ballot because the local clerks were not following the state process for accessing the supplemental signatures. So this clarifies that to make sure people have access to the ballot. We want people to be able to run for office, and if they're turning in extra signatures, then we want to make sure that those get counted if they're needed. So appreciate working with Representative Ortiz-Velez on that, as well as Senator Taylor. The second one is Assembly Bill 298. This is from the issues related to April of 2020, where we saw polling locations in several municipalities closed down, where you went in Milwaukee from 150 polling locations down to 4. Up in Green Bay, you went from 30-something polling locations down to 2, where you had long lines, people waiting in line 4 hours, 6 hours, a lot of people having to go home or go pick up their kids, go back to work, not able to exercise their right to vote because of the closing of the polling locations. This is something that Senator Taylor actually, while I completely agree with her and support this idea and was happy to work with her on it, that was an idea she brought to me to make sure that what we had happen in 2020, in April of 2020, doesn't happen again, that people are not denied access to the voting booth, that people are not disenfranchised because we have difficult times. We're always going to face difficult times in America. There's going to be another thing that arises in the future. But we have certain principles and certain rights that should always be exercised no matter the circumstances, and the right to vote is one of them. So that's Assembly Bill 298. The third one is a bill we worked on. It had been vetoed in the previous session, but we worked on it's for broadcasting of election night proceedings at central count locations. I had worked with Senator Taylor and Representative Ortiz-Velez to make sure that this is something that could be signed. It is something we had an amendment we drafted to make sure that we address the concerns related to maintenance of these records, and this is just bringing transparency to our election process. So really appreciate their work on that. And finally, one that Assembly Bill 577, it's actually led by Representative Gobin, but that's another bill that I worked on early on. I was working with Representative Ortiz-Velez on one bill, and then I found Representative Gobin was working on another bill, and I went ahead and said, well, those two really match up really well to make sure we are protecting election workers, protecting them from threats of violence, and protecting them professionally as well. So we have whistleblower protections in there as well. So I encouraged Representative Ortiz-Velez and Representative Gobin to merge their bills. I was happy to bring them together on that. And that was another yet very successful bipartisan effort. And so we're glad to have that passed today as well.